Welcome to Section 31, episode number 256. I'm Dan Hammond.
And I'm Rogue Schindler.
This week, we've got results from a local 1E event, 1E OTF, I believe. We're going to continue the conversation into comments about the band cards, and I don't know if anything got errata, just the band cards, and we'll speculate about second edition as well. So, you were there. How'd it go?
I was there. It was good. I was surprised, actually. I thought we were going to just barely scrape 4 people together, but we ended up with 6. Papa Johnny showed up.
Nice.
With little 2 weeks, he had his fatherhood is new enough that I guess there's lots of folks visiting and such, so he actually could get away. Even though it was just 2 weeks ago, I guess he's writing your good luck. I guess from last year, Charlie made a joke about our local gaming groups being lucky for expediting deliveries and such, since he left the 2E tournament 2 weeks ago in time to take Megan to the hospital and have that happen.
Nice.
Sort of a mirror of your own experience last year, so it was pretty entertaining. But yeah, we had Johnny there, and Thomas, Charlie, and Matt, and Jim, and I all came out. 6 people, no buys, and a lot of blue on the table.
Interesting.
A lot of show stars running around, but possibly the least expected deck, I would say, came away with the win, at least to my mind. You have a lot of seems to be what 1E is about, getting as many cards on the table as quickly as possible these days, with all of the engines, and you try to play this free play and that free play and that free play and go out and attempt as soon as you can, but Thomas was running a really interesting deck, and it had none of that. He had 5 seed cards, I think.
Wait. This is Thomas V?
Yeah.
All right.
He had like 5 seed cards and 25 dilemmas, or maybe it was 24 and 6. But he definitely had a ton of dilemmas under my missions, and he was running with very little. He had a couple of outposts at mission 2s to save on seed cards, and
Sure.
he was digging out. It was something a little bit akin to something that you were doing, but a little more focused specifically on that, which was he had lots of ways of downloading Admiral Kirk, going to the top, and a couple of other things, starships that download, the TMP and such, and then he would security download Jean-Luc, and then he was using Admiral Kirk's ability to let you discard a card to draw a card, and he was discarding, Tom Paris or Chakotay or Benjamin Sisko or whatever, any random Federation all-star, and then using the nanoprobes to get them back into play. And so he was definitely going quality over quantity, but it was crazy good. They were just tanking through everything and downloading stuff into play, and he ended up going undefeated, as I recall, or maybe he definitely won the tournament. Oh yeah, he lost to Matt's Borg deck, I guess, in the last round, but he still had enough victory points, having beat Johnny head to head, to win the day.
Wow, nice. So, what did you get to play against him?
I did.
What was he using for a draw engine?
Man, I want to say if he wasn't, he should have been using New Arrivals, because he was not playing, more than one free play a turn. I think he was using New Arrivals, but you get a card draw out of Kirk when you discard and draw, and I think he might have been using New Arrivals that way. and then that was pretty much it. I don't remember him having a lot of other card drawing.
Yeah, I see new arrivals. I see Isomag and Going to the Top, and I'm a Doctor, Not a Bricklayer, and Nanoprobe Resuscitation.
Yeah.
But I don't see any. I don't see
Yeah.
anything
No.
else.
No duck blind, no handshakes or anything like that. No mutations. He was just, drawing and playing. It was very old school one-y.
Well, when I tried to play something similar, it was very much I was using the Holo program with data and the poker players, and
Right.
in order to set all that up, man, that Admiral Reich, or Admiral Kirk is a whole lot easier to set up than the poker game, because you just need to get one guy, and then you can discard a card to draw a card, which is what the same thing the poker does, until you get data out. And it's just so much cleaner.
But it's not as at least with the poker game, you're downloading those guys every turn, right? You get one each turn and then you have to draw into data. Whereas he basically had to put every which way. He got out Admiral Kirk first turn against me, but I don't know how it went in his other games. I asked him about it, and I know he has 2 wall of ships, and to get that Enterprise to download them, he had a couple of Going to the Tops to download them, and had a couple copies in there. So
And 2
but
Enterprise chain of commands to get the wall of ships if you can get it.
and perhaps the biggest surprise, that 45 card draw deck, which is just, if you've ever played against Thomas, he has his decks are bigger than mine, and he uses penny sleeves.
Yeah.
So his 1E decks are just huge, and that was the slimmest. And he kept commenting. He's like, I was so uncomfortable running a deck this small. I didn't know if I was going to run out of something, or if I was going to lose my last one of a skill or whatever. But yeah, he really used it efficiently.
I'm looking through his deck. He's got 2 wall of ships, right? 2 going to the top. He's got the Admiral Riker, or sorry, Admiral Kirk and Admiral Riker. Either one of those, Riker gets a ship. So that's 6. He's got 2 chain of command Enterprises, so that's 8, and then the Enterprise A. So that's 9 out of 45 cards to get
It's pretty
Kirk.
good. 1 in 5 shot. Is that including Kirk?
Yeah.
Himself? Yeah. So yeah, 1 in 5 cards. We'll get to Kirk. That's a pretty good shot.
That's pretty good. And on top of that, if you get more than one of them, there's a couple of admirals in here. If you draw one of the other cards later, you can get one of the cards, because there's an Enterprise C and an Enterprise E in the tent in case you get your wall of ships and you don't need it.
Yeah, none of those are dead cards. They're all useful for other things, which is also good. Nice efficient use of the small deck space. And looking at his dilemmas, I'm really glad I didn't have to face many of them.
Yeah.
He had he did have the unfortunate happenstance of using symbiote diagnosis and having it right next to my homeworld. And so I right away memorized what was under there.
Did you steal it from him?
I did while I was playing DS9, and was my entire shtick was dial a skill. I was trying specifically to go a different route than he was, but what I need more than mass. Trying to get what I need rather than a ton of stuff and hoping I have what I want. And so knowing that was there, I just the beginning of my game, I spent the whole time working towards setting up that mission steal. I knew, and it wasn't like a paltry combo under there either, so I wasn't too worried about him. I had the Founder Secret, didn't even neural parasites, medical crisis. So, but I was playing DS9, so it was Odo and 3 schlubs.
Okay.
take
Right.
care of the first two, and then I got Bashir is crazy good against that, and I had luckily had the forethought to throw in Jake Cisco, and he downloads any engineering equipment, which I got the medical pad to give my tons of engineering people
Medical sensors.
medical,
Yeah.
and Jabara's a nurse, and so yeah, medical crisis was not a problem. And then just making sure I had enough people left over to solve with Jadzia. So that was the first half of my game against him. Um, and yeah, I mean, we had a really tight game. He had some trouble with my walls, but he never, he never fell victim to any of the really bad dilemmas because his people were just so good. It was really impressive. Um, I did feel a little cheated at one point, not his fault, but there's that. This is like the third or fourth time I've gotten hit with Kamala being present with herself and taking her own
Yes.
skill, which is so dumb thematically. Like I am for me, Kamala of my home planet, and so I at least twice got, or he just completely bypassed something. I can't remember what it was by having two empathy, and that cost me a turn in what was already a very close game. So, but I feel like pretty good that I held in there, and I even completed a second mission against his pile of stuff under there. And
Yeah,
I think
I'm looking at his still lumps, and I see the ones that I expect from Thomas, the Horda, the volcanic
yeah,
eruption. There's a couple of new ones in there, though. I don't think I've seen him play with Remote Detonator before. Maybe he did. But yeah, good stuff. Who else did you get to play against?
let's see. I started off against Johnny, which was nice to see him again. Haven't seen him in a while, and he was playing a nice, another unique turn on a deck using Starfleet with new arrivals. Because Starfleet's biggest trouble is not having enough free plays, so he's already, he's not going to have another free play, so you can draw a card, and then you get a weird look on your face. Am I confusing
Oh,
you?
I'm just reading the chat room. I'm sure he'll hear about it later.
Oh,
Continue.
great. Uh, no, he was using he was crediting Jay, the Mad Vulcan,
Hmm.
with some inspiration on the deck, getting a lot of trying to get Starfleet out and having what's it called, Visit Cochrane Memorial at the time location, so he could be plugging away at that and getting some, and an interesting my the part that was entertaining to me. I don't know if it was his or Jay's, but he was using. And you want to have a lot of interrupts and events to probe with Visit Cochrane Memorial, so you can get those extra free plays, even though they're not technically free plays, so they don't throw off they don't get rid of your new arrivals. So he was running Parallax Arguers, and then usually the default is to give away the event, not the points, and so he was then playing Mako,
Hmm.
military whatever, the 2E event that
Yeah, yeah.
downloads Mako, and which is way cooler in 1E because downloading needs into play rather than to your hand. So that was another way of getting a free play. Um, so
No,
it
that's
was
super cool.
cool.
Yeah.
It was a cute idea, and he managed to get that going really well. Meanwhile, I had maybe 9 personnel at the end of the game because I could not draw anything. So I really couldn't tell you how much of a game it was because it was not before when I was test drawing, nor since in the tournament did I have anything remotely close to that bad of a draw. I don't know. Maybe did I remember shuffling. I mean, maybe I shuffled so much it unshuffled, but I had like every verb in the deck, and there were no. I couldn't get any personnel to play, and you can only do so much. I could download somebody each turn. That was nice, but you know, uh, downloading somebody to your station every turn is only so effective, especially when you have a handful of verbs that are mostly card plays.
Yeah, sure. I mean, did he? So I see the Parallax Arguers and Archer go well together because he adds 1 to X if you choose the
Yeah,
points.
I heard
Did
about
you?
that later. I did not fall victim to that, but I did find it curious when he was very pointedly putting the parallax arguers in his point area for 0 every time, and I was like, that's curious. And then I realized later, I was like, oh yeah, Archer, that's even more dumb. Oh look, I get 1 point anyway.
I'm looking at his deck list and I only see 6, so he must not have been playing with you know too many.
It certainly felt like more.
Yeah, I guess if you give him points every time, that's 30. That's
That's even
36 points.
that's a
That's
mission. Yeah.
yeah, right on. Did you get to play against Matt?
Thankfully I did not. It was, there's only 3 tables and it's in an RB, so after a while you can't help but at least overhear what other people are playing. And as soon as I heard the comment about Borg, I was like, oh god, I don't want to play against him. So, although I suppose I could have just hung out and there's no assimilate station yet, so. Uh,
Oh, believe me,
but I think
we certainly talked about it back in the Resistance is Futile set when
oh
the number
joy.
one wrote, but we never did. All right, I was wondering what version he was playing, and man, the deck list always takes so long to open up.
I believe he was doing uh, They Are Coming or They Will Be Coming or whatever that is.
They will be coming. All right, fair enough. Looks like he went True Tie, Mod Win, Mod Loss, Mod Win. All right.
Yes, he
True
and
Tie
Jim
yep.
spent the whole first game doing nothing.
I believe it.
They
What
ended
was
doing.
did you?
They went 0-0, and I believe Charlie and Matt went 0 -30 or something.
What? All right.
Deck's title is Matt's deck title is Ermiger the Berg.
I, I'll forego asking about Matt's deck. What was Jim playing? Did you make another deck for Jim, or did Jim make one?
I did. I made a new deck for him when he first expressed interest in playing, and I said, what's your favorite affiliation or faction or whatever in or show in Star Trek, and I'll try and make a deck that that you'll enjoy. That's your favorite. And he mentioned TOS, and I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, TOS is my favorite, but I like them all. TNG is really good, and I like Klingons and Romulans, and I was like, okay, well. I'm not going to make you a TOS deck for your first tournament. How about this TNG deck? And the way the tournaments kind of fell out, he played that Fed TNG the first time, and then we had 2 block tournaments in the reading times in which he basically found decks online, block decks, and played those. So he's had probably a dozen games now, and he's got the idea. He's got the mechanics down. So I was like, all right, now that you have an idea how the game is going, now I'll make you this TOS deck. And I was about 5 minutes into explaining, time locations and time travel and doing the rough shuffle to keep getting the temporal vortex out. And he was like, I am really glad you did not try to make this for me for my first tournament.
Right.
So, I made him a pretty standard TOS deck. I tried to look and see what was doing well in the TOS land online, and all I could find was that stupid, cheesy TOS, Office of the President, Bajoran Resistance, Wales, Nexus garbage. And so I was like, well, no, we'll go back and we'll just do the classic. I was going to throw in the Guardian, but the more I looked at it, it's so much work, and it's kind of confusing to try and go back and forth through the Guardian of Forever to get those draws. And there's a lot of easier ways to get draws now. So I think I filled out. I kind of split between TOS and TMP. To mix up the free plays, and then some support at Earth, and visit Cochrane Memorial for support. And he came away. I think He lost 3 games and had one tie, and he was like, I had so much fun.
Oh,
Uh,
awesome.
so, so he really enjoyed the TOS. We talked about changes to make, and so yeah, I think definitely the next step is, hey, now that you know how to play and you have the TOS deck, please, by all means, if you want to make some changes or take some stuff out or put some stuff in, we could take out the movie people and try and focus on TOS and maybe get another play engine somewhere else, or try and focus on Cochrane Memorial there or whatever. So he's definitely getting into, suggestions for edits, and I think probably the next step will be either overhauling his own deck or just making his own.
So are you using the deck builder to build something and then you send it to him and he prints it out and cuts it up and sleeves it, or are you doing the cutting and sleeving right now?
No, I'm just using my cards.
Oh, okay.
It's way too much effort I much rather, especially I'm a very I kind of mix my deck building. I will use the search engine because I find I won't always think of things that are useful. So I'll use the search engine, like if I know I'm going to make like the TOS deck. I started with the Camp Kittimer and K7 and Office of the President. Those are going to be my play engines. Go find the people that play for free there. Take out everybody who is, excessive or duplicative skills. People you don't need because they're just excess. Try to keep it balanced between the 3 play engines, and then find some draw engines, and then from there, like all of that, I need to either do in Lackey or I need to have the cards in front of me so I can shuffle them around and see, I kind of lay out the space line and pile up the cards. And it's like, oh, this, I've got like 20 cards here at the TOS thing, and only like 3 movie people. Maybe I should shuffle some of those around and, keep it balanced. So I'm much more tactile card builder, and I like to flip through the pages and come up with something. I had a card in my deck that I happened to across while I was building his, and went, wow, I never thought of that. That's a great idea for a DS9 deck, and so I threw that in, and it was kind of cool. So yeah, I just kind of build his decks, with my binders, and then lend him the deck. Once he's got some things that he wants to keep playing or wants to start printing his cards, then I'll be like, hey, fly, be free, go for it. But if he just wants to, until then, I'm fine, loaning out my cards. Maybe I'll play his deck next week.
Yeah, I kind of figured that any new player would, I mean, with at least with like tribbles and at Gen Con, we hand a person a deck and then they go off and you assume that they play at least once. They don't give it back to you. But now that everything's printable, I figured, make the deck with, either the deck builder or Lackey or something. It's all online. You just send out PDF and then cut it up and assemble. But cutting up and assemble, 150 card deck is not fun to do all at once. And you got to have all the backers and the sleeves, and so I can see how you'd want to just use the real stuff.
Yeah, it's much easier for me, and it's easier for him. I think now that he's hooked, it might be much more, enthusiasm to, oh God, why do I want to go through all this work for this game? I don't really know. But, once you know and you're excited to play, then there's a little bit more. It's like, all right, I got this new deck. I'm going to cut it up, put it together so I can play it this weekend. That's much more motivating.
Yeah. I would. How long? How long do you think it is before he just shows up with the deck? That he put together, and it's all sleeved.
Yeah, I don't know. He has a pretty. If our rules were reversed, I would probably take advantage of the guy who's willing to keep putting my decks together for me for as long as I need to. But if we're coming up on spring and there's a lot of cons going on, I'm probably going to miss some tournaments, even though we're trying to schedule around it. It may come to the point where he needs to build his own deck if he wants to come, because I'm not going to have time to build it, or I'm not going to be available to have access to my cards. So he seems to really enjoy it, and he's excited. He came this weekend, even though he's studying for CSETs or LSATs. I don't know, some kind of like one of those really expensive going to postgraduate school tests. That's you have to pass. You really want to pass in the first trade because you don't want to pay hundreds of dollars to have to take it again. But he's not going to come to the 2E tournament next week because of that. But he really wanted to come for 1E. So I think if I didn't if I was unable to come, he might go and find a deck online and print it out.
Right on. Okay, I see. So the final standings were Thomas V, Johnny, and Rogue 123. So congratulations for a
Thank you.
place finish. I see a Maquis icon next to the deck list. Was that because were you playing with one of the Maquis incidents or something?
I did. I splashed. They call themselves the Maquis, and it surprised people on more than one occasion. It was nice to have. I think I wish I had planned on doing more Alpha Quadrant missions because it was kind of out of the way to go pick them up. It was just lots of people. Both my space missions were in the Gamma Quadrant, which turned out to be really cool for Cytherians. Not
awesome.
giving them an Alpha Quadrant option.
Mm-hmm.
But people are always, a lot of times it's like, well, it's easier to just stay in the Alpha Quadrant. Why would you go to the Gamma Quadrant? I'm going to put my easier combo in the Gamma Quadrant. So I kept going out there, or I would already be there after having done a mission, so I'd stay out there. So I would have to need another runabout to go pick them up and come back. But every now and then, I was like, oh, I'm safe. I'm Bajoran. You're not going to attack me. I was like, oh, well, I've got my Maquis Raider here. And we'll come over with our non-aligned people. Oh, okay, never mind, run away. So it was kind of funny, but it was mostly just I wanted an extra engine in there that was not something that I already had, something different. So it was kind of equal parts. It was primarily DS9ers with a few chamber personnel and a few Maquis personnel to fill things out as free plays. But it was really cool, really useful. Some really useful people in there. Shankar's download was nice to have the rifle around. Cassidy. I also used them because they had some more romantic couples, which was the whole point of my deck. I basically built DS9 with the Holo Suite and the Café des Artistes, so that I could keep stopping people to get card draws, and everybody seemed very entertained by that all day, which was good. At least, if I didn't do very well, I at least entertained some people. That's another two. I think Cassidy. I got Cassidy because to go with Cisco, and Eddington to go with Eddington
Rebecca.
and Rebecca, and they were both very good. And then I was using those card draws. It was nice to have that supplemental card draw to build out my station with We Need You Here. So I went crazy with the sites and basically just had that. I focused on getting out all of the sites that I wanted so that I could have all those couples and draw all those cards and then have all those places to play free people and then have a bunch of people and go. So it was another of my patented long time setup. Now I'm ready and go with everyone type decks, and then find out exactly what I need with my people and then get the last person. So as I mentioned, it turned out to be a very good deck to play against something like I stole a mission from Thomas and I stole a mission from Charlie, and I feel like I did one more somewhere. But yeah, at some point realizing that one of my really strong combos against you was something that was fairly easy for me.
Yes.
Was a nice combo that I could go through and set up, and especially having that Odo against the Founder Trap. And I could, I don't have to sit and wait and hope I draw what I need to steal your mission. I can just go and get it a piece at a time.
Right on.
So, yeah, it was fun. And then the Maquis were, again, a very useful splash in that, to answer your question.
All right. So after that, it looks like Thomas did not do too well in the Tribbles event.
No, he was constantly threatening, as it were, but he was losing some battles and he could never quite go out.
So you lost a player, so you had 5. Johnny took off.
Yeah, Johnny was I felt he was pushing it. He would have been pushing his luck to stay too late. We had 4 rounds of 1E, so it was already pretty late by the time we started triples,
Yeah.
and so he went ahead and headed home. But that made it for nice. 5 is the perfect triples number, I think. It's the right player
Yeah.
number of players, and we had a good time goofing around. Matt went out twice, once big and once just trying to get things over with. And I had been scoring and poisoning and utilizing my way into points, and was a little behind, but I thought I had one. I got down to it. I went out last, and I knew I was not ahead, but I had a copy. I went out on a copy. I copied the utilize, and there were several battle players, and Matt had just taunted somebody for saying, "You should have picked me to utilize. I'm awesome." And I was like, "All right, Matt, utilize." And I'm like thinking this would be nice and poetic if I can get a big money or something to go ahead of him to win. He had 4 cards in his hand, all 100,000s, all
Wow.
tallies. And against anybody else, I would have been totally fine. I give you 50,000 points. I get 50,000 points to go ahead of the first player, but he was the first player, so it did not put me ahead, and I lost by like 40,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not very much. That would put you
Nope.
over. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it would have been just enough. So it was even funnier that I was like trying to go for this poetic win, and then it, the irony fell back on me.
Right on. Well, congrats to Matt for winning the triples round. Matt, Rogue, Charlie was 1, 2, 3, and yeah, sounds like it was a good day.
Yep, it was good. It was entertaining. I always love playing 1E, and even better news to find out today that a lot of the problems that we were talking about that day with 1E are now not a problem anymore.
So it would seem. Yeah, the OTF card pool lost a few entries. Yes.
It did. Uh, Particularly, so the big one that everybody's, I think, has been a problem for a long time and has been complained about it for a long time is access denied. Captain America's shield, as it's come to be known.
Wow, I've not heard that. That's funny. All right. Yes, because of its offensive uses. Yeah.
Exactly. It's meant to be for defense, but it's really effective as offensively, and that's really all anybody uses it for anymore, since all of the defensive reasons are banned. So there's no reason for this card to be in play, and that's definitely a good choice.
Loss of orbital stability has recently seen a resurgence, so that's out.
Yes.
It seems that there was a ruling. I mean, it's always been an annoying card, but there was a ruling recently that it is a valid response to movement. So as you say, I'm about to move, the opponent can say, nope, I'm going to stop you. So
Yeah.
maybe it will come back without that. I don't know.
I still don't, I still think it's overpowered, even without that reaction. I think the problem is that uh, it can effectively, especially with a lot of emphasis on single ship decks, Enterprise E and things like that. The, it's a premier card. If you think back to your premier games, when we spent 15 to 20 turns going, all right, I'll play Picard, I'll draw. I'll play a ship, I'll draw. I'll play Crusher, I'll draw. And you're spending the whole time building up, and then you go do stuff, and you're running around trying to get stuff done. Games were 30 turns. Playing a card on your ship to make you lose a turn, not a big deal. Now, games are 6 to 10 turns. If I can stock 6 of these and maybe get 3 of them out on you, that I've made you sit out half the game.
Yeah. I mean, if you're playing a single ship deck, I mean, there are ways around it, but
Yeah, it's just really its power has escalated as the game has evolved, and I think that card needs to evolve with it.
Security drills I've seen on and off in bed decks around here, but I haven't seen it. I was surprised that it hasn't that it was just outright banned and not I want to say that it's been waiting for a conversion for a while, but it just hasn't happened.
Yeah, I maybe it's in the works, maybe not, but maybe somebody just decided that it was too powerful to keep in the game while they were trying to decide. I mean, a lot of the problem is that we've heard over the years, even with just a ban card, that's not a conversion. Is well, what are we going to change it to? What are we going to rot it to? And we have to, the fixation of we have to decide how we're going to fix it before we decide to ban it. And that needs to be something that we can't get hung up on. If something's a problem, it needs to go away, and then we can figure out how to bring it back. And that's probably, I feel like, what happened with this.
Fair enough. That makes sense to me. And the last, second to last on the list, but the last to bring up is, what does God need with a starship? I caught a lot of these when I was playing against Stefan at Worlds.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anyone local play with this. Granted, I haven't played it in a little while. Have you seen it running around here-ish?
I put it in my deck this weekend, but I don't use it for that. I mean, I think the problem end of it, at least the way they describe it here, is for the same reason as loss of orbital stability. Trying to, lock out your opponent or force them to give you a really powerful card, in the form of a ship. But I threw it in to cancel God. That's really the only reason I use it. Every now and then, I like to throw in those 4 or 5 interrupts that cancel really powerful dilemmas, just to freak people out. Dr. Bricklayer and Cold Warriors and what does God need to do with Starship, and I got to use all of them this weekend, so that was pretty cool.
When I was playing Stefan, I think I had maybe 1 or 2 ships out, but he played one. I'm like, well, I'll let you stop me this time. And then it was like, okay, pretty much just lost a turn, which is not what you want at a high-level event, as you said.
No.
The next time I said, you know what, I can't afford to lose another turn, so why don't you go ahead and just download a ship. And I might have told the story already. He downloaded the ISS Enterprise to my location, and then downloaded Kirk, and then downloaded the Tantalus Field, and started killing my people.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. So I said, all right, well, that's bad, but, what else are you going to do? So the next time he played one, on the next turn, I said, all right, go ahead and get another ship. And what did he get? I think did he get a Romulan ship that downloads some kind of abduction card? There was a suite of... Oh, he downloaded the Phoenix at his mission, so he scored 10 points.
Oh, jeez.
All right, okay. So you killed my people. You got 10 points, and then he started with like, okay. He had like a suite of 5 options, and each one was just more punishing than the next. And
whatever's going to hose you most, he'll be ready.
Yeah, I've got a ship that downloads a matching commander, and I'm just going to start beating you up.
Wow.
Yeah. So I am not disappointed to see it go.
Yeah.
I've always thought the best errata for that would just be make you download the ship to the Shakaray planet.
Oh yeah, because that's what God needs. He needs it there.
I mean, then you have to play with that mission.
Yeah.
And sure.
And if you don't, then there's no reason to play it. Oh well, I choose for you to have a ship. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't have a place to play it. Too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
I think the problem. I think what I submitted that mission name or the whatever that is just so long, and there's just not room on that interrupt. But anyway, yeah. I'm not said to see any of those cards go. I hope at least one of. I mean, access denied. I think there was a lot of thought about just taking off the ref icon, so you can see it if you want.
Yeah, that's what everybody seems to have that same solution. Seems to be the simplest problem.
Security drills need to be converted. I mean, a lot of the 2E cards that are backwards compatible that you cheat through dilemmas are getting converted one at a time. That just needs to be converted. It'll probably come back. What does God need with Starship? Clearly, my errata will work just fine. I don't know about loss of orbital stability. What you could do with that, because as you say, it's like Rogue Mercenaries. It's just from a different time, when
Yeah.
one-turn ping was a whole lot less relevant. Uh, yeah. All
I
right.
like the description that it just effectively has no cost. So if there was some kind of cost to it or some kind of condition to it, there's no qualifier at all. Um, and it's just it's a negative play experience on par with temporal vortex, temporal, what was the one where you just disappear your ship?
Temporal Rift.
Temporal rift.
Yeah, I could see that. Uh, I guess it would be. I mean, you can play with all space missions.
I guess.
I mean, yeah, that's sacrificing a lot
Yeah.
of things just to not get hit by one random interrupt that most people aren't probably playing. But anyway,
Yeah.
all right. Uh,
Yeah, going back to that security drills, that made me think of there's a lot of, and I think it's probably going to come up more. The Rule 33 just got converted in the Dominion or in the Gamma Quadrant. This one's coming up. It's pretty much that anything that's backwards compatible that has, because so many 2E cards start with, when you're facing a dilemma or while you're attempting a mission, and there is. I defy you to find more than a handful of 1E cards. I can't think of a single one that lets you do something in the middle of a mission. Um, special downloads are the only thing. You can suspend play, and that's because they suspend play, that they aren't specifically designed to interrupt a mission attempt. And that's just not a mechanic that 1E was built for, and it's something that's been incredibly powerful. And I think that's why I was trying to remember why Johnny was doing so well with his little Starfleet deck, and he was running a ton of those backwards compatible Makos, and more than once, and by more than once I mean I think like every mission attempt, he was bypassing my dilemma combos because he was using that, Sean Hawkins and all those Makos who, oh, no, of course, Sean Hawkins, now that he's been errated, is much better, is much less powerful in 2E, but he's much better in 1E. He was like, oh, I'll stop 2 Makos and I'll keep my science from being killed by your unscientific method. And then we get to scientific method and, oh, look, all 3 of my science are still alive.
yep.
And he did the exact same thing against another dilemma that I needed to stop him so that he would get damaged, and then he bypassed it and solved the mission and ran away before my jellyfish could blow him up. And it was like, I know you don't think of 1E Starfleet cards as needing errata, but it's like anything that has that, we're going to interrupt your mission attempt and allow you to do something cool is really powerful in 1E. And
Yeah. Did he do any? There's a guy the leader guy. He jumps in the middle attempt. Did he ever jump in? Is that backwards compatible? I don't remember.
I don't remember that guy. I know Jeremiah Hayes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if he's backwards compatible. I saw a version of him
Okay.
when he played him, but he didn't actually use that tech, so I don't remember if it was that version.
Right on. All right. Well, that was kind of the interesting news of the day for 1E. We haven't heard a thing for 2E in a while. I guess this has been the 1E set being released. It's 1E's Day in the Sun.
Yeah.
For second edition, we've got a set that's purportedly for Gamma Quadrant, Dominion, and DS9. That sounds very familiar.
It's certainly in the same theme.
I mean, do you think that was intentional, or it was just a?
Maybe. I mean, as far as I know, the design teams are mutually exclusive, with the exception of Charlie. But I don't know that he has got time to, to do that kind of coordination. It might have just been a fun coincidence that it came out like that.
Certainly, the art team will have a lot of familiar material to look over again.
Certainly, if they had it timed well enough, then maybe they could. Maybe they were looking for 2 sets of things at a time.
Granted, the 2E set is not restricted in timeline to the first half of the season, or the first 3 seasons of DS9. So what have we got in
Right.
DS9 in the big story arc that we haven't seen yet?
Well, for TUI, I don't know. I don't know. DS9 Klingons.
Well, that would be interesting because we've got a couple of DS9 people who are on the Klingon template, but I don't think Jadzia and Worf have the DS9 icon, do they? I don't remember.
Yeah, they do. I think they can play with DS9.
Ooh.
But I think they're. I don't know. I don't remember. I keep looking at them, and I don't remember them ever being tempting enough to actually include. Um, but hey, yeah, that would be something that you get one more Klingon, and you can suddenly start playing anything that says requires three Klingons to play. But yeah, that's there's All Out War, which is thematically that era, but there's not a lot of the that fourth season. The Klingons are our enemies again stuff. Get some Klingon infiltrators. Cisco and Odo and O'Brien.
Yeah. Both Jadzia's The Second Heart and Sworn Ally do not have the DS9 icon.
Really? I knew
Yeah.
Sworn Ally didn't, but I didn't realize the heart.
And let's see, The Strongest Heart doesn't either. Worf.
Oh, cool. Well, there you go. Those are strictly Klingons. So, they're not a huge presence, but even if it was a Klingon theme, fighting
Like
against the.
a little, maybe we'll see a team of Klingons that can report to DS9 as long as you're not doing anything else. You know,
Oh
that'd be
yeah.
interesting.
Or some emphasis on the Cardassian Dominion or the Cardassian Romulan thing. Like we got in Gamma Quadrant. There's not a lot of that. There's a little bit of that. That first in Abrantane affects your Romulan ships, but there's not a lot of real emphasis on that.
Yeah. Well, it's far too early for a spoiler for us, so um, perhaps we'll keep our speculations open. I know there's at least one post on the boards about what you want to see. Um, yeah, Romulan DS9 and Klingon DS9. That was interesting.
Man, I really did love that new Romulan event where if you go and establish a station or the objective or whatever, and you go
Yeah.
plant your flag in the Beja region, and if they do something, it's like, oh, you're gonna do the Beja region? Sure, go ahead. Don't mind us. We'll
Yeah,
just be right here.
we'll just be hanging out. All right. Right on. I think that's everything we have to talk about. Is there anything else on your list?
I don't think so. We've got TUI next week. You gonna make it out for that?
Nope, because I'll be flying back from DC.
Oh wow! All
I
right.
got a business trip next week, so I'm going to be out all week, and I'll probably be recovering that day. I do have some news from the warehouse. All of the kits for the release kits are all in the mail, so if you have ordered one, it's on its way. We do have a few left over. We didn't sell through as many as we were expecting, so in a few weeks, we're going to have another scrapbooking party, as we call it, to make some more promos. We'll be making the tournament series for the first half of this year, so those are a little behind, but expect to see those in about 2 weeks. And at that time, we'll probably be putting up the remainder of the kits for purchase, just like we did for the older 1E and 2E kits that we had in stock. So look for those. Also, I printed out all of the remaining orders. Everything's out, including the Masters kit for Australia. That's on its way. So enjoy that. And the last thing I printed was all of the raffle prizes. So I've got a big stack of them sitting right here. They should be going out probably in the next couple of days. So expect some raffle prizes. Anything?
Excellent.
Yeah. Anything going on in the world of achievements?
Well, there is. We've been having some system issues for the past year or so, trying to figure out. We just got so many achievements, and everybody's really enjoying them so much that they're destroying the world. Uh, not really, but it's really causing some a big weight on the system. We're trying to work out exactly how to pick how to alleviate that. And once we do, then we can actually start having new achievements there. There's a set in the can. It's ready to go, but we can't. We need to release the pressure. We don't want to have the containment field blow up, and then Gozer will show up and destroy the continuing committee.
Yeah.
So TLDR, not really.
All right. Sorry, Ken. I'll work on that. Anyway, I guess that's all we have. If you have some feedback for us, like Ken is telling us that not add distinctness. Boy, it's been a long day.
Access denied. I already read his comment.
Yeah, has some defensive uses. Yeah, defense against outgunned and any other ship commandeer. Okay. Granted, outgunned is another one that's on the list right up there. That man, I fear when I'm putting a deck together. So I'll remember see. I'll keep an eye on it for that. But all right. Anyway, let's wrap this up. We've been talking for long enough.
We have. Well, we had a lot of intelligence this week, but that's all we've got. We've got 1E, or excuse me, 2E next week. I will not be there. Dan will not be there. Hopefully, we'll have some other information on it, but we'll have another 1E tournament in 3 weeks. So if you're going to be in the San Diego area, you should come and join us for that. In the meantime, I'm Sir Rogue.
I'm Sir Dan.
And I will remind you to expand your power in the Gamma Quadrant.
And I will continue to try to learn how the cards work and not piss off Ken. Sorry, man. Have a good week.